Here we are.
Red light.
Everything's on, everything's working. So here we go.
Had a little wobble, didn't we?
Yeah.
We always have wobbles, but we...
Sam just ran in from the office saying,
I got summoned.
The audio is messed up.
It was echoey. But it's fine. It's fine. It's just a small Final Cut issue. Problem resolved. Let's move on. Welcome to Another Idea.
A podcast for creatives and
just want to level up. People just want to have a chat with us and get involved and just listening in on a bit of a conversation with like fellow entrepreneurs and creatives.
Yeah.
We're almost, I think we're at episode 30. I think this one is.
Almost there.
29. We're there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
What have we been doing? Like 5-6 months?
6 months.
Yeah.
That's mental when
We've
you
got
think
a Christmas
about it.
party coming up, haven't we?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell people about the Christmas party?
Yeah, we got some amazing guests coming up for the Christmas party, and tickets still on sale.
Give it more than that. Come on.
Tickets are still on sale.
You're wearing a Santa outfit, yeah? So that'll get people in there.
An inflatable Santa outfit. That's what I'm expecting.
Who's the elf?
Sam can be the elf. Sam can be the elf, and you can come in a mankini. And that will definitely increase the sales.
That's an image. That's our Christmas card sorted for the year after as well, isn't it?
You see the GIF at the bottom of the episode.
Content.
And this is where the episode's dipped, and we wonder why. No, we've got the amazing...
Carry on.
We got the amazing Philip White coming for the episode, and we also got...
The Springles. Yeah, Cat and Ash.
With Abel Burners.
Yeah.
And... yeah, it'll be an incredible...
like next level side hustle that was, isn't it?
Yeah, very much
Can't wait to chat about that. But
really. Today, we've got the amazing Adison Clark. How
That's
are
an
you
introduction.
doing?
I mean, come on.
Amazing.
Igor. You seem a bit flat. I was expecting bigger things there.
There's more to come.
Yeah. Go on.
I just wanted to say hi to him.
Okay, yeah, go on.
Pleased to be here. Thanks for that. Don't know where to start now.
No, we've got the amazing Adison Clark, and when Sam told me that he knew you,
didn't know him. I just followed him. I think.
Yeah.
I think it was just like a visual appreciation for what he put out.
Someone knows.
Yeah. Come on, I've done my homework, Igor. I've done my homework.
I kind of fanboyed a little bit because I'm a big fan of P&Co. I've bought P&Co stuff over the years, and what you've done with it is pretty incredible, really. So to meet the person behind the brand in some ways, and it'll be an interesting conversation, really. So yeah.
That's better.
Yeah.
That's better, yeah. You had done your homework, hadn't you?
Yes, very much so. Very much
no, I think I can't remember how I came across. I probably came, I suppose, through P&Co, just sort of recognising the brand. And
it's always interesting to see how people do come across the brand, because from a marketing point of view, you try so many different things to get in front of the right type of people, and you definitely are. Yeah. Creatives, free-spirited, entrepreneurs. Exactly the type of people that we want to be in front of, so it's really good to know that.
I can't remember how I found your account though, as a personal account, or whether that was maybe just something that was recommended, and because it's not directly on your P&Co, or it won't have been at the time.
No, of course
probably.
not. No, it's just.
But it probably just came up somehow, and I remember looking at your feed, and when you just look at somebody's feed, you're like, I like this aesthetic.
I like this guy.
Curated. Consistent. And like the photographers in both of us probably looked at it when just seeing like the beauty and like simple stuff that a lot of people just walk past and
100%,
kind of just take for granted, in everyday life. And there's a really kind of clear identity in just your personal stuff. And I think when you can do that from a personal point of view, it shows that you kind of get it already. That's half the battle, I think, for a lot of people.
Especially when you actually start reading captions and everything else. Here's a guy that really knows what he's talking about. It's not just fluff and air in terms of from the visual aesthetic, but from...
Can you back it up?
And from conceptualization as well. It actually makes sense.
I really appreciate that.
It's really good.
So... Are you going to carry on now?
No.
What are you looking at? Are you all right?
I'm looking at the camera over there just to make sure that we are in focus.
Are you okay? Yeah. We've got red set.
I've scared them both now talking about the Stephen Bartlett Mel C episode.
The second you said it as well, Courtney came running in going, Sam, the audio on the previous episode. Oh my lord, here we go. But yeah, like Igor touched on it, it's great having that sort of visual aesthetic, but you back it up with like a really strong understanding of branding and branding strategy. Where does that kind of awareness and understanding of branding, like where's it derived from? Where can you remember when that first kind of appeared in your life or business?
Good question. I think that it's kind of just been a natural evolution of understanding how it all works, to be honest. I've never kind of had any, kind of education. I never kind of went to university, but I've always, kind of looked beyond the logo and, beyond the product to really kind of dive into, who's running this brand, what do they care about, what their values are. And I think that if you look at kind of brand's evolution over time, Nike, Adidas, they've all got these underlying, kind of thoughts, organising, positioning documents and kind of values. And, obviously building P&Co, I kind of made sure that everything that we kind of did had a purpose, and it was kind of, if we were going to do a photo shoot in, London to advertise X new kind of collection, we'd make sure that, it was shot in a certain location because we wanted to appeal to a certain kind of demographic. And we also kind of made sure that it was kind of authentic as well. So, you wouldn't be shooting it in, maybe a really kind of high-end area of London, maybe like City or Bank. It'd be kind of Shoreditch, and just making sure that the brands and the kind of aesthetic that we were trying to create was true to that customer, really, and that lifestyle and the brand.
Makes sense. I always thought that P&Co has a very specific branding that sometimes you see brands that it's very easy to see where it's been copied or where you can take things from, but with P&Co it's quite unique, it's quite honed in. And even when we were chatting previously, you very much said that anything with two wheels, I'm on it. I love it.
Definitely.
Have we explained what P&Co is?
No engines now.
Should we just let Adison kind of describe the aesthetic? Do you want to do it? Do you want to go for it?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I just want to know how did you hone in terms of like the vision from P&Co and what it actually stood for, because it's very particular.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's incredibly consistent. It's the production of it is.
It's been going for 10 years almost now. Wow. I think we started in 2013, and if you look back at 2013, I'd definitely say we were consistent, but we were nothing kind of visually like where we are today. We were very much kind of finding our feet, looking out into kind of what things that inspired us and kind of bringing that into the brand. So things like photography, music, kind of motorbikes, that kind of freedom culture, LA kind of, West Coast vibes, I guess. And that's kind of how the brand naturally evolved from kind of, it was almost like a gentleman's brand to start with. So it was kind of like very much, kind of brogues and like a white t-shirt, black bottoms. And then over time, as we ourselves individually, our kind of tastes have broadened. We've kind of brought in different kind of elements to the brand. So you've got kind of the workwear kind of utilitarian style. You've got the kind of hand-drawn graphics that have got a lot more colourful, a lot more playful over the years. So we've just kind of drawn upon a lot of different influences, but as you say, kind of keeping things consistent. The way that the website's portrayed, the way that the imagery is kind of art directed. We always made sure that everything that we did was consistent, because I think that consistency is what it draws you into a brand. If you can kind of make sure that everything aligns, it creates that trust as well with
there's
customers.
Definitely that kind of cohesion there, isn't there, between all of those, like the photography, the typography, the colour palettes, and then the fashion as well.
A lot of sign-off meetings and I mean, there's 14 members at P&Co now, so there's a lot of people that have a lot to say.
The brand's it's done really well, hasn't it, over the 10-year period. I mean, it has really grown. I know when me and Igor sat down to kind of talk about what we were going to discuss today, it was like there were two very clear areas here. It's like before P&Co and then after P&Co, and we might sort of break the chat up into those two sort of sections. So, do you want to just explain like how did you? How was P&Co born? What was its birth, and just talk through those early years of trying to get a fashion brand off the ground.
Well, I think for me, when we first kind of started it, with my co-founder Lee. We were very much, kind of entrepreneurial. We were in the music kind of independent scene, kind of within different bands, and kind of, designing different graphics for different music artists. And we kind of really kind of connected on an artistic point and a creative point. And I think given our background in kind of doing things off of our own back, we really just wanted to do something. It wasn't necessarily a clothing brand to start with. It was just let's see what we can come up with, I guess. And then kind of, we did kind of look at clothing as an industry and thought, for us at the time, what brands, I guess, appealed to us and why they appealed to us in a certain way. And, you've got kind of H&M and the high street, and you've also got the kind of midi kind of luxury brands, which you've got like All Saints, Diesel, Levi's maybe within that bracket. But there was no one kind of telling a story or adding depth to why they're doing that. It was very much, this is our summer collection, go and buy it. There was no kind of sustenance to that, and creatively we just thought that was really interesting, and we kind of thought, well, let's try it. What products can we get our hands on to start with? It would be a t-shirt, and then we kind of came up with these kind of capsule collections that had really kind of meaningful stories behind them. So if it was, I think some of our collections, I can't remember, it was so long ago, but one of the standout ones for me was a collection called Desires and Liars. And it was this whole kind of collection about kind of Romeo and Juliet, and kind of creating these two kind of made up like gangs like the Desires and Liars, and that whole kind of story, and that kind of
concept.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it was just t-shirts at the time, but for us to kind of sell those, we needed to give it more of a meaning, more of a purpose. And then through the visuals, we were able to kind of shoot in really aspirational places and kind of play out this story. So it kind of transitioned from there to kind of building up the following, kind of branching out into other products. It was a big journey.
Any sort of campaigns that have been favorite over the years?
I'd definitely say the Desires and Liars kind of campaign, and then that's a tough one. It wasn't a campaign, but it was more a product. So it was, as I said at the time, I was co-founded with Lee, my co-founder, and then we needed someone to enter the business that was very, organised, basically. So come in and organise the chaos.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And that was my, now brother-in-law, but at the time it was kind of in the family and, figuring out what we were doing. I just said to him, look, we need someone organised to come in and sort things out, and he came on board and very quickly kind of got heavily involved in the product side of the business. And over the years, we've always wanted to kind of have products that were level pegging with, as I said, kind of Levi's, All Saints, Filson. And Jordan kind of spearheaded this kind of premium outerwear lines that we've got today. And I think one of the standout products for me that we all worked on was our kind of wax canvas Wayfair jacket. And it was this really kind of nice kind of dark brown wax jacket, trucker kind of shortcut. And that for me was like, wow, we've got it now. We've got an amazing manufacturer, we've got amazing designs. Now we can go and kind of market a full look almost. So it's kind of, you've got your t-shirt, your jacket, everything that goes with it is fully P&Co. And at that point, I was kind of like, that this is exactly what I set out to do, to make a clothing brand that, you could go to and pretty much buy the whole outfit from.
It's a whole uniform.
Yeah,
really.
No, definitely. So that was a bit of a standout moment for me, that Wayfair wax jacket.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, there's definitely a really clear identity to the brand, and like that lifestyle kind of, like you said it about giving it a bit more substance rather than just be like, hey, buy our product. Yeah. You're selling an image and an identity, aren't you, really, before you sell a product. And it's almost like you're not really selling the product. It's like, hey, look, this is what we do. We're passionate about it. We love it, But that clear sort of identity and aesthetic, where does your creative journey begin? I suppose before P&Co, really. What was your kind of youth like growing up in I suppose, a creative kind of environment?
I think it probably stems from my dad being into everything. So he'd be into like motorbiking, and he'd be into mountain biking, sometimes like golf or Formula One, or so he was always kind of all rounder, kind of just interested in I guess not just kind of pigeonhole himself into one thing. He'd kind of see what was going on in various I guess sports maybe, and that kind of fed down into me. So I kind of started skateboarding, BMXing kind of similarly, but I'd always be the one to like obsess over like what stickers went on my skateboard and on my products, and just completely customize it. So I think that's kind of where my kind of creativity like stemmed from. And I think looking at the magazines and the kind of the skate videos at the time, and kind of just analyzing like, why have they got this advertisement here, and what does that really mean, and kind of just digging in a bit deeper to the meaning behind the marketing. So you've got these adverts, but kind of figuring out why are they saying what they're saying, that just really interested me. And that's kind of what brought me into, I guess, starting the brand, and then kind of going into the more kind of marketing, how are we going to appeal to people, and really thinking about the creative reasons behind the campaigns. It really just hit a spark, I guess, in me.
Yeah, go on, Igor. Go on, go on. I'm in an hour.
I find it quite fascinating, really, because I'm here listening to you, but I'm like, sometimes you want something like really, really clear that sparks a sense of creativity or something, and I don't get that with you. It's like, again, like your dad, it seems to be an all-rounder.
Oh no! When he said about the stickers, I was like, I can just see, I can really see that in the brand as well.
Yes, I can see that in the brand.
I can see that kind of creative,
creative chaos.
Yeah, like a lot of effort, like a lot going into a sticker. Like there's a lot of, it's not just like a simple layout, right? And looking at the brand that P&Co have, built, there's that. I can really see the kind of same sort of graphical components that go into that kind of that illustration.
I think it's the inquisitor in me. I want more.
Okay, well, let's ask for more then. Adison's here. He's not going anywhere for a little bit. What do you want to know?
I just want more. And in some ways, even previously, when you said that you sort of like started doing work for bands and stuff like that, what sort of bands were they? That was my first question, first of all, because was it quite specific in terms of like specific bands, or?
It was like indie bands. Yeah, so I can't remember I think one of them was called the Arcadian Kicks.
No.
And then there's a band called The Vows, which Lee was actually the guitarist of at the time. It was kind of like indie, kind of rock and roll, that whole kind of world, which again has probably stemmed into.
You can definitely see it.
Definitely brought all of those influences across, and that kind of building out the brand, I made sure that we were still within that world. So we talked to bands like Bastille and Architects. Who else? Of Mice and Men. I mean, maybe that was my more kind of heavier side. We still
now,
make sure
that fusion, though, can't you?
Yeah, those bands. What are you doing? Where are you playing? Can we come and do a blog post about you? So it wasn't just, can you just wear our clothes? It was, we want to support people in the music industry.
So when you say then sort of like looking at building out a brand, like for anybody that's listening, what does that kind of entail? What goes into those early kind of discussions, or when you sat around a table and you sat down with that kind of that blank piece of paper or whatever it might be, and you're like, right, guys, this is what we're going to do. Where does that process begin?
Well, I think it can start anywhere, but I guess when you really kind of set out, you know what you want to do. You want to sell a product or a service, then that kind of, well, how are we going to do that? The best way to do that is to wrap it up into a brand. A brand adds value to a product or a service. But it's also something that people can kind of form a deeper connection with. So I would say that in terms of the step-by-step process, there isn't one size fits all, because every kind of brand and product is different, but it generally starts with the kind of Simon Sinek approach, which is the kind of
start with why.
Start with why. Exactly. So once you can kind of figure that one out, why are you doing this, you can kind of paint the whole brand story around it. You can figure out the values, the positioning, and then that kind of creates your roadmap really for then a marketing team who would sit kind of hand in hand within the brand team to go, okay, let's execute this and let's kind of go on this journey. That's amazing. Kind of where I start.
And then from a P&Co perspective, yes, you've been one of the co-founders. What would be sort of like your area of strength within the business as it happened?
Yeah. again, because we've been involved in, me and kind of Lee kind of very, he's such a creative guy, so he really did kind of stick to design, product development with Jordan, and the kind of photography style as well. But we all, kind of had our inputs within that, because it's, where we wanted the brand to go. But I kind of, early days was helping out with kind of everything from customer service to, sometimes packaging the orders.
Just everything.
Literally everything.
You have to when you get a business.
Definitely.
You do, don't you?
100%.
When there's just a couple of you in there, you've got to
going and picking up the t-shirts from the supplier, taking them to our kind of warehouse. Kind of been involved with everything. But as the company grew and we kind of, hired more people, I kind of really found my kind of, position in the business of that kind of marketing function. So, we've got this collection launching, 2 months time. What do we need to do to launch that? So you kind of work on, what does the website need to do? What do our emails need to do? Et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to get into the minutiae of it, but
it's great. It's very much reverse engineer it.
Yeah, exactly. But always thinking, who do we want to target? Who do we want to appeal to? Who do we want to serve? So everything we did, be it like a customer service email or, a Facebook advert, or even a, kind of team up with an ambassador, it would always be behind the kind of, this who do we want to serve, and making sure that it was going to appeal to that customer and they were going to be engaged by it.
Yeah.
One thing I thought about when you were just painting that sort of background early on is why, and this is more so that people listening can kind of understand a bit more about branding, that they're intrigued by branding, is why do you need that? So once you've created that process or that package of this is what we're about, and you paint that, I think you use the word like painting that story. Mm-hmm. Why should a company create or paint that story?
In terms of
why is it important?
Yeah,
why is it important from a brand's point of view to have that kind of visual story or background or whatever it might be that you kind of touched on?
If you've not got that, you can very quickly go down paths and not really think about why you're doing that. So it just gives you more of a direction, more of a purpose. I think that if you've not got those kind of plans, you're almost lost. I speak with some kind of brands now, and that's the first thing I ask them is, why are you doing this? The kind of whole brand strategy architecture that I take them through. And 9 times out of 10, it's things that they haven't thought about, but they're there because even though they haven't thought about it, but they've just not been asked the right questions. Yeah. And then once you've got that information from them, then they're kind of like, I know what I've got to do now. It's super clear. I know who I've got to target. I know what, where we add value to this, kind of industry. Yeah. And I know how we're going to be different from everyone else now. So, once that's kind of been unearthed, it just kind of puts people at ease and there's more of a kind of plan to go after. Then you can also bring people in so they understand your vision. If it's just you kind of running things, and it's in your head, if you want to kind of tell that story to other people within the business and hire out and work with people around the world on different projects, then it's really important to make them understand your vision and where you're going. So I think that's something that we did, make sure that if we're working with a photographer in, LA or Amsterdam or wherever, we'd always start on a Zoom call. This is the collection, this is P&Co. Take them through that journey so they understood, kind of what we were about and what we wanted from them. So I think that a lot of brands, and this is what I found with working with clients now, it's kind of, they've done photo shoots in the past and they look amazing. Mm-hmm. But then when you really go through the content with the brand, there's a lot of kind of holes in there and there's a lot of things missing. So I think if you can kind of preempt that and take the photographers and this team on the journey with you and help them understand your vision, you'll just get a much kind of higher output of content, and the creative will just be that more kind of purposeful, and it'll just land better.
Yeah. Strong vision and strong storytelling.
I'm really glad I asked that question because there was so much in that. Sorry. It's brilliant. But it's about direction, isn't it? I think. Yeah, definitely. I think it's, like you said at the very beginning of that point, it's like if you don't have those core values and you don't have them kind of outlined very clearly, you can just start chasing different avenues, can't you?
Yeah.
And you don't have that kind of clear direction to go down. It's
not to say you can't change it either.
No.
So we used to have a brand strategy kind of realignment meeting. A big word there, but yeah. That's basically what it was. Every January, So we'd have Christmas, came back that first week, it would be, right, let's just sense check this whole brand strategy. Let's see what's worked. Let's see what hasn't worked. Let's see potentially what we might want to add into this. And that was such a good kind of exercise that we did every year. You know, it was the three of us at the time that would kind of have that session, and then that would get kind of communicated to the whole business and any other kind of freelancers or people that we had working with us, and that really helped.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah,
we should do that. And I think more businesses should. I think it's great to. I don't think enough businesses have that initial kind of brand strategy meeting in the first place, let alone a realignment one.
I think brand strategy, it's seen as this really technical, scary, you know, kind of thing, and it's really not. It's just asking, you know, the right questions and just kind of, you know, having a big discovery session on where you want to be and making sure that, you know, you're all on the same page, especially if you're working with a few people. I don't think it needs to be seen as this massive kind of expensive, you know, kind of project that you need to go on. It's not. It's quite collaborative. You know, you can get there very quickly as well sometimes, I think.
And it must be even more helpful when you have a team of people, and like you need, like you say, you need everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Just going slightly away from that, what were the kind of big wins of P&Co for you? Right, I've just locked Igor in the toilet so I can hijack this advert to tell you guys about a little offer that I'm running on my course, The Complete Wedding Photographer. From Monday the 14th of November until Thursday the 17th of November at midnight, you can get full access to the course, which is usually £1,995. But for these 4 days, you can get it for £897. Don't ask me what the percentage is. Maths was never my strong point, but I do know that it's more than half. This will include lifetime access to the course and all future content. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere once you've got it. We cover everything that goes into being a wedding photographer in depth. We will cover shooting setup and techniques, branding and marketing, SEO to social media, business and systems, shooting the dance floor, workflow and editing. We also hold a monthly group Zoom session with other wedding photographers, giving you the opportunity to ask anything. There are no questions that are off limits in that session. In the course, there are over 40 videos already with an ever-growing library. We've got 15 scheduled over the winter with topics including how to book destination weddings, advanced Lightroom edits, and how to handle any element of a wedding day with examples and experiences from my 10 years as a professional wedding photographer. Now, if you're listening to this or watching it on Friday the 18th or onwards, just ignore me. It's too late. You've missed the chance. But if you're listening between Monday the 14th and Thursday the 17th of November, it really is a bit of a no-brainer. I'll pop the link to the course in the show notes below, and the discount code is ANOTHERIDEA, all one word. Right, I should probably go and set Igor free and let him out. Just going slightly away from that, what were the kind of big wins of P&Co for you? What were the big kind of successes and success stories from that time?
I think it was how we were very open and honest with our community. So, and how, I guess, people really wanted to like know what was going on and know what we were doing, because I think if you can take people on a journey with you, not just staff members and people that you're working with, but you know, your community and your customers, it just builds that kind of level of trust, and you know, that kind of feeds through word of mouth marketing and things like that. So I think that one of the biggest things we did was just was doubling down on that kind of community management kind of side, and making sure that, you know, every comment was replied to, every photo was engaged with. You know, if people were taking the time to, you know, kind of reach out to us, we'd make sure that we'd put that time in twofold back. And, you know, kind of it showed now, because the level of following it baffles me sometimes. It's just kind
huge,
of,
isn't it?
It is crazy. But I think it's just people understanding the vision, because we did a really good job of kind of, you know, making sure that our content was kind of speaking to those people and those creatives and kind of entrepreneurs. And I think that they appreciated that. And I think that because we've been so consistent with that for the past, you know, however many years, you know, I think those kind of customers are going to stay with the brand, and that's when you really kind of build that brand value.
It definitely comes across, doesn't it, that community aspect?
Yeah.
Like, especially when you look at like the other brands that you've mentioned, like your Levi's, and you know,
it's still there, but it's just different.
It just feels a bit. It feels genuine, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's probably that would be the key word for me. Is it feels genuine and authentic when you look at the P&Co branding and what goes on.
It feels like you very much have a pulse on your community, really, as well. That's what I really see from it. Yeah.
Try.
Sam asked about big wins. Any big losses?
Yeah.
Do tell. We're not in a rush here. We've got plenty of time.
I wouldn't say it was a loss. It was more of a frustration. So, starting the brand and kind of producing products, you work with a lot of different suppliers. And we were working with a supplier in Turkey once, and we were still operating out of a bedroom at that time. But we did have a fulfillment center that we're kind of fulfilling all of our items with them. But yeah, I was kind of working away, and suddenly a big articulated lorry pulls out the front of my house with like however many thousand t-shirts on there, and literally unloaded them onto the street.
Wow.
So
okay,
that's when you
come and get your free P&Co t-shirt. Everybody,
very clear on your shipping and your billing address in those kind of situations.
But that mistake didn't happen again, did it?
Did not happen again. But sometimes it isn't our mistake; it was the suppliers. And then I think that one time we were shooting in LA in maybe a place that we shouldn't have been shooting. We had two kind of LAPD policemen kind of walk up to us and very kind of kindly said, we're going to either fine you or
you're going to
move along, but we need to see you delete the footage.
Whoa.
Yeah. But so quickly, thanks to Canyon dual SD cards, I think Lee kind of switched the SD card to the blank one and kind of showed the police officer.
Wow.
But
on what grounds were they asking that? Is that a thing?
It was. I can't remember now. I was sitting there very quiet.
Were you filming outside like a police station?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it was kind of private property, and you do need a license to shoot where we were shooting. It was by the LA docks.
They tend to be quite hot with permits.
Yeah, definitely.
In the USA,
quite a really big learning curve by the sounds of it, like a great journey to go on.
Yeah, but that's and I think that just goes to show that the brand, it has been very organic, and we did everything ourselves. We didn't hire a big production company or creative agency to work on, our content. It was always let's figure it out ourselves, and as we grow, we'll bring in different people for different reasons. But it's very much that kind of independent, kind of free spirited vibe that we have.
If you were kind of going back to that period of P&Co, is there anything you would do differently on reflection?
There definitely a lot of things, but I wouldn't change anything that we did. But I think if I was to kind of start it again, I'd have all of that knowledge to not do certain things in certain ways. And it would generally kind of be around not kind of launching things until they were ready. So putting out items that we weren't 100% on and things like that, making sure that you take the time to really kind of make sure that the products that you were putting out were above and beyond where they needed to be, and that you were going to get that kind of reaction, because that's super important with a brand, is keeping the product up to date and being innovative. I think that's something that I probably would do a bit differently now. Yeah,
I mean, return rates are generally quite high in the fashion industry, aren't they? Anyway, so to be building a business from the stage that you're at, it kind of probably had to be strong from the moment somebody opened the package.
100%. That's why we kind of invested in our packaging as well, the experience. So Jordan came up with a really good idea of sending out all of our t-shirts in these really cool tubes. And I think people have still got them now kind of on their shelves and things like that, but it's just that value add, and you've got that in people's houses and they remember it, and there's loads of things you can do around that.
It definitely was an experience for me, because I bought only a couple of t-shirts and mainly hats. I love my hats.
The hats sold like crazy.
I love my hats, so I got quite a few P&Co hats.
I didn't know that you loved hats.
Yeah, you do.
I do, definitely do.
And I can very much see there now that you say it, that was intentional. I didn't really think of it at the time, but it was very much felt like an experience.
Everything was intentional, so even down to the thank you email and the things that we wrote in there, everything that we put out there, we would go through with a fine-tooth comb, but just to make sure that we were kind of going above and beyond to just use everything to add value to that customer or yourself, which is obviously paid off.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great takeaway straight away, though, isn't it? Like just hearing you say about going through the thank you email. So many brands and businesses could just go through it, just go, oh, here we go, automated thank you email, job done, see you later, next customer. And actually, no, just taking that time to really think about what message is going out.
Well,
that's huge. It's a hugely valuable thing.
And I think a couple of years ago, Jordan was working with our fulfillment company, and they were working on this kind of really innovative kind of thank you card that would go in orders, but you could completely personalise it. And he came to me and kind of said, I've got this product for you. What can we do with it? And because it linked into our Shopify at the time, you could literally kind of, so if you bought the Wayfair jacket, say, that we could customise that thank you form to kind of tell you about where it was made and things like that. So every single kind of order, we could tell a different message to.
Yeah.
And that went down the whole kind of route of personalisation and making sure that we could just go, onto that next level. We were always trying to think about different ways to, add value to everything that we did. And those kind of thank you cards really were a standout piece.
I'm almost half expecting you to say you were going to hand deliver items as well, just to make it that personal. Like Jordan's going. There's one.
They do sample sales. So, I don't think he's got time for that now. But
It's amazing. I think this is the perfect section to sort of like go into the after P&Co.
Yeah, I think so. Should we ask about how it ended?
Yeah.
Did it end? It ended well?
No, so it didn't end.
It's hard. All right, it didn't end. Okay.
But I'm still kind of, friendly with the guys, and kind of Jordan is now my brother-in-law, who's the now CEO.
Yeah.
But no, I just kind of thought I'm really kind of interested in other businesses and other kind of verticals. At the time I'd had this kind of vast kind of growth curve in P&Co and developed all these new kind of skills and I guess methodology on how I think of things, and I kind of really wanted to go and do something new, and that's kind of where the natural progression went from kind of P&Co, the co-founder, and now P&Co's got a full kind of board of directors. It's very kind of structured now to kind of go on further, and I kind of thought, okay, right, what can I do now? And that's kind of led to me launching my own kind of consultancy agency, working with founders and agencies in just building, global direct-to-consumer brands.
And that's Common Agenda.
That's Common Agenda, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that for now?
So I've been kind of consulting for different brands for about 2 years, to be honest. But I wanted to kind of put some words to it and kind of formalize it. So Common Agenda has launched. It's been online for about a month.
Wow.
So amazing. Very, very new, and I'm still kind of figuring out, how we can kind of bolster that out. But Common Agenda is the kind of consultancy agency. So we would go in and kind of work with founders and understand their vision and help them understand that. And then we would kind of work with them from a marketing point of view to kind of put them on a roadmap with this is what you need to do to execute on that, and then we'd link them in with different agencies and kind of help them go in the right direction rather than having to figure out, well, who shall I use or what shall I do. So it kind of takes that whole kind of guessing game out of building a brand. It's kind of using my experience, I'm able to work with founders and get them on a path very quickly.
Yeah.
The track record's there, isn't it?
Yeah, no, so
it's there.
And they can see it now, definitely.
Yeah.
And what sort of brands are you working with at the moment then?
So I'm working with a few kind of high-end menswear kind of fashion designers, and I'm about to start work with a bicycle company.
Come on, 2 wheels.
2 wheels, and I'm very excited about that.
With or without an engine?
Without.
Without an engine.
I've had too many accidents, so I'm not allowed to. Never say never, but
What were we going? Oh, I had a question then right at the tip of my tongue, and it's gone. Brands. No. What brands are you working on? No, come back to me in a second, Igor. Come back to me in a second.
That's all right.
Oh, what was it?
With Common Agenda seems to be quite new at the moment. So what would be the sort of like brands that you would love to work with, and why? Brands that I think,
yeah, so brands working on products that are, above and beyond things that are out there at the moment. So, I really like to work with, product design and the value doing things differently, rather than I just want to, I want to launch this brand, slap a logo on it and sell these t-shirts. I like to work with founders that understand that kind of value proposition. So I worked with a brand, I went in-house actually, so I did a kind of 6-month stint with a brand called Chelsea Piers, and they were a B2B kind of pyjama brand. Really amazing product, like top of their game, but they didn't kind of have a brand kind of strategy or marketing function within the business at that time. And they really were passionate about sleepwear. Their vision is, they want to be the go-to sleepwear brand, and that for me was like, wow, they want to really make their mark. Yeah. And that was really kind of good to go in and work with them on the kind of brand strategy piece, and then the marketing strategy, and build out this kind of full team of 6 people now within the business. And then because they've got that roadmap, they're absolutely flying now. So it's really good to see, that kind of work have a big positive impact.
I've thought of my question. It's come back to me. It's just hard, isn't it? Sometimes it's just, when somebody's talking, I've had it a few times with Adison already, like, he's talking about something, I'm like, there's a question there.
It's the art of hosting.
And then Adison just moves on to something else. I'm like, no, another question. I'm like, oh man. When you look at brands out there at the moment, are there any brands in particular that are genuinely paving the way or doing anything that's really groundbreaking and just kind of inspiring for us to look at and to be admired? Who do you kind of look at in the?
I hate that question.
It wasn't my best question.
It's really hard to answer when you put on the spot. No, definitely. So in kind of fashion, I think community brands to me that are really standing out, like Represent. Mm-hmm. I think they just do a really good job of servicing that customer and taking them on a journey and being transparent in what they're working on. I think that everything they're putting out at the moment is just absolutely bang on the money. And I also think that Harley Davidson they're a massive global multi-billion pound brand, but I think that they're doing a really good job to kind of move into the electric space. Right. I mean, they're getting a lot of bad press at the moment because of kind of, they've just gone public and blah, blah, blah. But no, I think that they are thinking about how to do it in the right way, because their current customer is not the same as the electric.
Yeah, definitely not. So
they've done a really good job of kind of separating that out and kind of figuring out the Livewire brand and, kind of putting a lot of time and effort there. I'm about to start working with actually a electric motorbike service company, and I think that's just a super interesting space.
Don't hear much about electric motorbikes at the moment, do you?
No, you will do.
No. I mean, I'm just like, why don't I?
Yeah,
know
it's
about any
It's string.
Doesn't seem to get the airtime that maybe that deserves.
You get cars, you get bicycles, but not really motorbikes. It's string. Yeah, I don't know. It might be people's perception of it a bit too futuristic. I don't know. I always think as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, Tron. That's the first thing that comes to mind, really.
Definitely.
But Sam.
So, Igor,
Studio Ninja.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor. And I was wondering about what we need to say in this little section, because I really want to talk about just how vital it is to my business. And one thing that came up recently was in my own business was that I was thinking about whether I need to get a VA on board. Mm-hmm. Like, do I need somebody that's going to help me just perform some of the admin tasks? And when I looked at it and it really boiled down to what do I need somebody on board for, I realised that I don't actually do much admin. Yeah. And I don't do much admin purely because of Studio Ninja. Yeah. Everything's automated. Yeah, my invoices, my diary, my questionnaires that I send out.
Email templates.
Chasing up invoices. Everything's fully automated to the point where it doesn't take a huge amount of my time anyway. So it kind of defeats the whole point of a VA. So for me, it is a very integral part of my business. Yeah. And I think when you're running a business, you're self-employed like we are, being efficient, being productive, making sure that things run in the right order. If you find yourself doing any kind of repeat task, you have to say to yourself, why am I repeating this?
Automate it.
And if you can automate it, then that's it. And that's really where Studio Ninja fits in with me and my business. And they have very kindly given us a discount code, haven't they, for this podcast? So what's that discount code, Igor?
Another Idea.
And Another Idea gets you 50% off your first annual subscription. Yeah. So it's just a no-brainer. I mean, I wouldn't even be hanging around. Just go and look at Studio Ninja.
Just go and do it right now.
But thank you very much, guys, for sponsoring this podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep it up.
We love Studio Ninja. But yeah.
What about mistakes? What are the kind of common mistakes that you see brands?
I think at the moment
the traps that they fall into.
It's relying too much on certain channels and certain marketing channels, and not thinking about the long-term picture. You know, I don't understand why people, you know, want these really fast growth curves off the back of just kind of investing into one channel, and as soon as the channel goes, that's it for that kind of growth strategy, and they've got to completely rethink. So I always think that you've got to think long term, you've got to have big goals and then kind of work backwards from that and make sure that it's not, you know, that the brand strategy isn't executed on one single channel. It's, you know, it's everywhere. It's, if you think of your customer on a day-to-day basis, you know, they watch Netflix, they listen to Spotify, they go to the gym, they go to the local coffee shop, or, you know, how can your brand interact with that customer? I mean, that's my life, but yeah. How can a brand interact with your customer, you know, each part of their day and their week? And that's how brands have got to think about marketing now, not
rather than just a sponsored Instagram post.
Exactly, yeah. So that's what we did at P&Co. We never just thought about that. We thought about the whole picture, and that's what I'm doing now with founders and agencies, and getting them to think about that whole journey, not just, you know, kind of different select aspects. So making sure that you're creating a full circle kind of approach.
I love that. Absolutely love that. It just kind of like makes me think that, yeah, I'm definitely that brand, and I'm definitely making that mistake.
Well, straight away, it makes me go, right, okay, hold on, I'm making all of this educational, and even for another idea, we're creating these, you know, reels, but why aren't they we should be pushing them more to TikTok, and we should be resurfacing them more to YouTube Shorts, and
and
it's just resurfacing
our mailing list a bit more.
Yeah, we should.
Just partnering with like
all-rounder,
a local college or school.
We're not having a go at you, Myrna, by the way. That's not. We're just thinking on the fly here, in case she's earwigging. What Myrna does is great, by the way. Anyway,
No, I love that.
It's got the cogs going in my head.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. And
that's what I want to do.
Yeah. It just. Yeah,
but it's easy, isn't it, when you're running a business or a brand, to just get bogged out. Like, 100%. What do I need to do today? What do I need to do? Right, I've got emails to get back to. Oh, I've got to post out on Instagram, rather than just going, hold on, I need to just step back and just go, right, you know, what's the long-term plan?
Yeah.
You've said it a few times. What is the long-term plan? How are we going to get there?
You're going to ask me that now.
How are we going to grow that? Well, no, I wasn't, but I can. One of the questions that we put down was actually from a selfish point of view, for another idea. How can we, as a brand, grow, and how can we embrace the connections that we have with our, you know, contributors and creators? What can we do to utilize those connections more from a brand's point of view?
I think you've got an amazing network of creators, and I think that being able to, you know, kind of speak with those guys and tell their stories would be, you know, good to kind of bring them into the sessions and things like that. But no, I just think you need to like figure out who is going to buy these courses, and you know, kind of paint a picture of what they do in a week, what they subscribe to, and then once you've got that person, you've got that persona, you can very kind of quickly start to see where you can fit within that. So that's where I would start. I'd start with, you know, who you're kind of aiming at, and then build this kind of strategy to serve that person. Yeah, that makes sense. And make it a no-brainer as well, so it's like when they see it, they understand it, and it's like, yeah, I need that. Yeah. So in some ways, Ninja Studio just makes perfect sense, because it's what photographers use and creatives use and everything else. But other stuff like we have said before, Squarespace and whatever else, and just making sure that we are being seen within those sort of like parameters, or in some ways rubbing shoulders with those other brands. You've got the product as well. It's a fantastic product as well. So I don't think, you know, once you get eyeballs on that, you know, I don't think you'll have any issues. But it is just kind of showing up exactly how you've just said in those places. We've got work to do, Sam. We've got a lot of work. There's always work to do. It never ends, does it? But yeah, it's just nice just to be able to just. Yeah, whilst we sat here, I'm all the way through it. I'm just I want to just step back and go and just sit in a dark room and just have a moment of thought. This is why I'm loving this conversation. Actually, part of me wants to be over there, so like just taking loads of notes and sort of like learning from it as an audience rather than as a host, because it's gold. This is gold, mate. Yeah, I used to get shouted at having too many ideas there sometimes. I used to do one or two days a week out of the office just to kind of sense check ideas and work on things, and I'd come back with 2 or 5 A4 sheets of just back-to-back
More
ideas. But that, I'd always speak about innovation, and that's what I want to do. So, never say never to different ideas, and you can never have too many of them, I think.
You're on the Perfect Fitting podcast, aren't you, here with another idea?
Definitely.
That's pretty much where that was born. We're both guilty. We're both guilty of that that trait.
It's hard to filter through them though sometimes.
Yeah,
but that's why you need to bring them to people and say, what do you think
I always put stuff down, but then my approach is if it still sits there after a few months, if something's not, if I've had an idea and it's just there buzzing away, if it's still there in a couple of months' time, then I'll pick it up again and I'll realise why I'll look into why I've not dropped it as an idea yet.
Yeah,
I mean, these are big ideas. I mean, like just general day-to-day little things. Oh, we should try this. That's a different. I'm talking about this podcast, for example. We'd thought about it for a little while, and just for a few months building up to the first recording, we were like, no, we need to do this. It's still here. It's still saying, pick us up, run with it. Yeah, probably like it was with you when you set P&Co up and you're starting out in a bedroom. Basically, it's like that idea was there for a long enough period of time for you to go, no, we need to do this.
You can always learn from other people as well. I think it's, like you said, what brands am I looking at the moment? We used to do that quite a lot, but also used to look at brands and think, what aren't they doing? What could they be doing? And then kind of take that approach as well, which kind of delivered some gold a few times. So I think that don't just look at what they are doing, think about what they could be doing as well.
Doing better.
How often was P&Co kind of imitated? Because I imagine there's always when you have a brand that kind of explodes to the scale it did, that there's obviously a lot of other people looking at that going, we should just do what they're doing. And there's obviously a very fine, you're just talking about looking at other brands and being inspired. There's always a very fine line, isn't there, between being inspired and actually just imitating.
Definitely happens a lot within the fashion world. People kind of using the same models and the same, kind of aesthetics in their content creation. But, we never used to let it bother us, to be honest, because, we were just very focused on what we were doing. And if anything, it makes you want to do things better, and it only just spurs you on. And, we're still here. I think some people that maybe have copied us for the wrong reasons, they might not be around kind of now, but we always took the approach as we're going to do what we do authentically, and build value, and make sure that everything we do is going to get that wow reaction. So we didn't really look at people that were copying at us, but there might have been a few late night messages sent to people.
But,
I
can imagine
they would have been deleted in the morning.
At the end.
yeah.
That's amazing. As a totally side note, if you weren't doing brand consultancy today, what do you think you would be doing?
That's a good question. I like kind of experiential things at the moment. So I like Go Ape, and things that you can go and get a group of mates together and go off into Wales and kind of have an experience. So I think it'd be something to do with the experiential space, not the metaverse. But I think something that you can go and kind of have a really kind of meaningful experience with people. So theme park, or I don't know. I think that's really interesting.
That seems to be you all over. Just experiences in general.
Well, it's a huge part
it's a strength.
You can see it in P&Co.
It's a strength and a curse, because I'm always looking for the next coffee shop or the next bar. But that's me and my friendship group. I'll always be the one coming to the pub and kind of saying, have you seen this place, or we should go here. And I'm always kind of looking for innovative ideas.
And then you're probably within that space, and you're kind of like, this is great, but I'll probably do it this way or that way.
For me, there's a real sense of like you keep looking at how you can improve something. Like that seems like a constant. Like, not that it's bad in the first place or there's an issue, but more like how can we serve that customer better? How can you add value? How can you provide that better experience? Like that doesn't seem to kind of ever end. No.
Well, there's a brand that I've been working with since I kind of started the consultancy called Arlo Hudson, and I took that approach with him and that kind of brand, and really went the extra mile into their kind of packaging and just this whole experience of the brand. And now he's got a ridiculous repeat customer rate, because they've had that experience, they've commented, they really like the product, they love the brand, and his growth now is it's really impressive. I think he's just hit was it 2,000 5-star reviews in less than a year and things like that. And yeah, we're doing all the right things with that brand at the moment, so it's quite exciting.
What's the product?
So it's men's kind of premium underwear, and it's made from a fabric called Tencel.
Okay.
So it's kind of like sweat absorbing, non cotton based. So it's made out of a special kind of sustainable material. But his whole kind of brand ethos is, no one really thinks about underwear. You might
put
spend
it on and
£50 quid on a t-shirt, but
Yeah.
you're spending £4 on your boxers that last 2 weeks. So we're trying to change that perception. So with him, we're trying to change the way men think about underwear, and kind of invest in pieces that are going to be good for your wallet and good for the planet. So that's kind of what we're working on with him at the moment. We're just about to launch a new visual identity for the brand as well, which is quite exciting.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds like you've got a few projects on your plate now, which is good.
Yeah, definitely.
And what are the future plans then? Where do you kind of see where do you see common agenda sort of moving to once you kind of really get it off the ground?
Yeah, so there's going to be kind of 3 aspects to it. So there's the consultancy, which is the kind of the strategy sessions, the marketing, brand strategy, kind of making sure founders understand the journey that they're going to go on and understand how they're going to show up to their customers. There's the mentorship side of it, which is really kind of going really strong at the moment, whereas that's just I'm here, or we have a team of people that are here when you need us. You can access kind of maybe it is a learning portal or something like that. And then the other kind of pillar is going to be creative, and I think that I really want to kind of go into this creative space and not think about we've got to do Facebook ads or we've got to do this. I want to think about creating content for a purpose, for a meaning, and if it's content, if it's a video shoot or it's a podcast or whatever, making sure that whatever content we create is going to add kind of value to the brand, and it's going to be a natural kind of piece of creative. So yeah, those are the 3 kind of pillars I'm working on at the moment. But I want to take 10 brands, and I want to make 10 brands into household names. That's the goal. So it's
an amazing goal, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and it's quite clear as well. That's what I love about it.
That's the start goal. Yeah.
Can we have Adison come and work for us? Can we be one of those brands? Is that what you're thinking? There was
reading each other's minds.
Before we kind of get into the final few questions, there was something that you wrote down on your form that I just wanted to read out, and we're not even going to really go into talk about it, I suppose, but it was more just to highlight it, and I just it feels like a really good kind of point to tie up on, and that was that you put focusing on community and aiming to add value, not just through what you sell but what you do. It just really stood out, didn't it, to both of us. As I know, so many people seem to be really focused on just making sales and making sales and making sales, and actually they always need to just realign and just reassess that approach a little bit, and actually focus on the value before the sale. And the sale is almost a byproduct of the value. Yeah.
And once you've built that trust, though, it's that their sales will come with that. But I think you've got to earn that first, and figuring out. And that's why social media is a great thing, because you can create so much value, and it's free. So I think that if you can do that for your kind of niche or your kind of target consumer group, that's when you start to build a brand, and that's when you start to get more I guess comfortable with doing that as well, because you can see it paying off.
Yeah. Part of me just kind of just wants to lock away me and Sam. All right, Sam, let's go into.
Let's have a realignment meeting.
Go into a room.
They're locking the door now.
And just
we need to have a brand realignment meeting.
Yeah, really do. But no,
get the kettle on. We'll do it.
I've got a bottle of champagne in the fridge.
No,
that'll be a session.
Yeah, that'll be a session. But no, seriously, today has been absolutely amazing having you here. You've dropped again so much value. And really making us think, really making us.
Yeah, I've sat here wanting to listen back to the episode already.
Yes, that's
because I've wanted to, like you said earlier, I wanted to make notes, and I'm finding it really hard. I'm having this I'm having a real internal battle, because
this is why this episode has been a bit different.
Yeah, we've talked about stuff that in my head we've been having similar discussions recently about, and we're struggling to figure out what it is.
There's one difference that I think with you guys, and it's really clear, is you've just got that passion. Like, loads of entrepreneurs come to me and kind of say, how do you build a brand and blah blah blah. It doesn't matter any of that. You've got to have the passion and you've got to want to do it, and you've really got that. So it's really good to see.
Well, thanks.
Oh, it's getting a 5-star review from me.
To buy some underwear.
To be fair, I threw a few Calvins out the other day, so certainly need some. Is it final question? Have you got anything else you want to ask?
No, I think that's it. It's a good
It's been
place
great, my mind's absolutely racing.
It's been really good. I appreciate it. It's been good.
Thanks for your time. But go on, Igor, you fire away.
So, going to 14-year-old ad...
40 or 14?
14.
Okay.
14.
Oh, God.
Knowing what you know today, what would you say to him?
Just have a good time. Enjoy it. Don't be afraid to take risks. I think that... a lot of people don't do things because it's too risky, but at the end of the day, what's the worst thing that can happen? So, have fun, take risks, be passionate, be kind to people, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, it's just spot on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Great messages.
Yeah.
Great lessons.
Yeah.
I try.
Honestly, no, I mean, I remember when we first messaged and I sent Igor a message saying Adison's going to come on. He was like, oh, who's Adison? And I told him, and we'd had a look through your stuff, and I was like, just genuinely really excited to have you here. And
I'm glad you like my content.
Yeah,
I'm not a photographer, but I do take a bit of effort with that. Yeah,
it's not just that. It's the fact that you've backed it up with, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of just, genuine, like helpful advice for people.
Yes.
Like you clearly know what you're on about. And you're willing to help and share that advice with people, and that's exactly why I've got absolutely no doubt that Common Agenda is going to go on to be a really big success for you.
I appreciate that.
And it's the next part of your journey, and it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to following it.
Yeah, very much so, because you very much know what you're talking about, and it's the way that you put it across as well. It's a really relatable way. People really understand it, and very much, at least us, we're coming away from this conversation like we're ready to go.
You talked about passion for us, but we could put that straight back to you. It comes across as though you're very passionate about branding and the fashion industry, and I've got absolutely no doubt that brands out there that are getting up and running are going to look at you and go, we need to work with this guy. So
I'm happy to speak with them as well. So
and they can reach out to you. Where can they? Have you got your business card for us?
I've not got a business card. Paperless, come on. It's just commonagenda.com, I think. I don't know. We'll have to edit that.
Yeah,
that's fine.
No, don't worry. We don't edit the main. But they can Google Common Agenda.
We'll
have it.
We'll put it on. And
if they Google Adison Clark,
it'll be on the episode. It'll be on the episode, and they can find you on Instagram as well, can't they? With Adison Clark.
Yeah, I think it's just underscore Adison Clark.
Thank you very, very much for your time.
Amazing.
I'm sorry that I wore a Deus sweater. I just realised.
Why?
Where's your P&Co one?
Should have bought my P&Co one, shouldn't I? I wasn't thinking, but no.
They're a great brand. They've been a real inspiration for us.
Yeah.
I think we used to get that a lot. Oh, you're very similar. It's like we're not though.
Yeah.
If you look at how they do things, you look at how we do things. It's completely different business models. But we really, we're fans of Deus. So all good.
Mate, thank you very much for coming out. Thanks for your time. Yeah. And
Igor,
if you guys have enjoyed listening to this episode, just check out Adison, give him a shout out, give him a follow. And if you know any brands that are looking for a brand strategist,
exciting.
We might know a guy. Igor, cheers, closing words.
Thank you.
Did you do your deep dive?
I did not.
Adison didn't get a deep dive?
No. Adison is very elusive.
He's got a very well curated life though as well, hasn't he? It's perfect. You couldn't find anything.
I did try. So but no, thank you to the audience for listening, for reaching this point. If you're here, your head is probably hurting and you probably want to get a notepad out and try and strategize your own brand. But no, seriously, thank you for everyone for listening, and once again, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, Adison.
Have a good one.
Cool.
Mate,
Boom.
genuinely